The Art of Happiness is a collaborative work between the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, and Dr. Howard Cutler, a psychiatrist. This book is a reflection on the Dalai Lama's teachings and perspectives on achieving lasting happiness and contentment in life, integrating elements of Buddhist philosophy with insights from modern psychology. It offers a blend of ancient wisdom and contemporary psychological principles to guide readers in understanding the nature of happiness, managing life's difficulties, and cultivating inner peace. The 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, is the spiritual leader of Tibet and a prominent figure in the promotion of peace and understanding. Known for his wisdom, compassion, and teachings on happiness, he has dedicated his life to spreading a message of universal responsibility, love, and compassion. Dr. Howard Cutler, the co-author, is a respected psychiatrist who engages in a dialogue with the Dalai Lama, incorporating psychological perspectives into the discussion of happiness. Through their collaboration, the book offers profound insights into the roots of happiness, emphasizing the importance of mental attitudes, compassion, self-awareness, and the interconnectedness of all living beings. A core emphasis in the art of happiness is that true, lasting happiness cannot be achieved solely through external conditions or circumstances. Even in extremely adverse situations like poverty, illness, or abuse, some people demonstrate an incredible capacity to retain inner peace, contentment, and mental fortitude. This suggests that the key to happiness lies within one's own state of mind and internal resources. The book repeatedly stresses the need for self-reflection and personal responsibility in shaping one's perspective and emotional landscape. Rather than passively allowing external events or other people's actions to determine one's moods and outlook, the Dalai Lama advocates consciously cultivating positive emotions like empathy, confidence, hope, and inner freedom. This requires sustained mental training and discipline but enables a degree of autonomy and resilience against the inevitable ups and downs of life. For instance, practices like compassion meditation can foster calmness and psychological stability even amidst great personal difficulties or trauma. A stable mindset like this allows joy and meaning to arise from simple moments of connection with others, not just when certain goals are achieved. The Dalai Lama frequently observes that despite tremendous material progress and comforts, Western societies still struggle with anxiety, dissatisfaction, and depression. He traces much of this to unrealistic expectations, the assumptions that fame, wealth, sensory pleasures, or even romantic love can provide lasting happiness. In reality, the excitement of such external phenomena fades within months, while craving more of these frequently distracts people from enjoying present moments. The mind's tendency to constantly evaluate circumstances as good or bad also means that no situation remains perfectly pleasurable forever. Therefore, the Dalai Lama suggests that finding satisfaction through external things resembles trying to quench thirst by drinking salt water. The more one indulges, the thirstier one becomes. Lasting fulfillment comes instead from within, by uprooting negative mental habits and views acquired over a lifetime. This is by no means easy and requires patience as well as applied tools from contemplative traditions. But the capacity to transform anger into patience or self-doubt into confidence unlocks a deeper reservoir of joy within oneself. Rather than considering happiness something to be acquired from outside, like money or relationships, the Buddhist perspective sees genuine happiness as the very nature of a peaceful mind, akin to the inherent warmth of a fire. When negative emotions cloud the mind, they cover up this inner radiance but do not destroy it. By gradually reducing destructive impulses and nurturing compassion through conscious practice, anyone can reveal their natural capacity for lasting contentment. With skillful effort, we can uncover inner freedom and learn to dance with both joyful and sorrowful situations life brings rather than be tyrannized by them. The book emphasizes actively cultivating compassion as pivotal to one's mental health and happiness. Compassion is defined as a feeling of concern for others' suffering combined with a strong motivation to help relieve it. This attitude of embracing the joys and sorrows of others as one's own comes to subtly reduce self-centeredness. With time and practice, even enemies or strangers are included in its scope. Compassion exercises our ability to sympathize with the suffering of people vastly different from oneself. In doing so, it enables a feeling of closeness and community across barriers of race, nationality, and background. It overcomes tendencies of indifference, fear, or hatred towards those we do not understand. The Dalai Lama notes that the unprecedented interconnection of the modern world makes cultivating universal compassion an urgent need. Lack of compassion manifests in social neglect of vulnerable groups, needless conflict, and environmental destruction that will return to harm all. On an individual level, opening one's mind to share others' suffering is found to have a paradoxical effect of alleviating one's own emotional pain and sense of isolation. Self-centeredness feeds anxiety and discontent, compassion helps shift focus outwards in a wholesome way. However, true compassion emphasizes wisdom, the recognition that others are equally entitled to happiness as oneself, rather than merely pity for the downtrodden. As one's circle of empathy grows wider, one's own interests naturally align with the greater good. In regards to relationships, the Dalai Lama suggests modern notions of romantic love often ask too much of partners to continually excite each other and provide all emotional fulfillment. Expecting a single person to meet one's every need while requiring flawlessness oneself sets up relationships for failure. Partners can certainly retain intimacy, delight and closeness over decades, but this depends on showing mutual care, respect, understanding, and dedication to each other's growth. The book endorses sex as an expression of closeness when consensual for both partners. However, it cautions against overvaluing physical intimacy or beauty without developing deeper bonds of care and responsibility. Casual sex often leaves both parties unsatisfied on a subtle level. In a relationship where emotional understanding goes deeper, physical intimacy becomes much richer as an expression of cherishing the totality of each other. Ultimately, however, even partnerships require looking inward to find lasting meaning, which cannot be supplied forever purely by another person. Relationships benefit from mutual support for individual growth, creating space for solitude amidst togetherness. With maturity comes realizing that even if achieving all ambitions and meeting all desires were possible with a partner, which is improbable, deep peace must arise from within. The book thus sees actively opening one's heart to care for others' well-being, without exclusivity, as profoundly transformative training for one's own happiness. Compassion serves both individual and collective interests in the long run by promoting human dignity universally while eroding self-centeredness. Practicing the skill to embrace suffering wherever it lies cultivates great resilience and equanimity to meet life's ups and downs. While acknowledging the comfort religious faith has brought countless people, the Dalai Lama suggests that basic spirituality can be cultivated without adhering to any particular religion. He defines spirituality in secular terms as those attributes and practices that uplift the human spirit, inspire people towards their noblest potentials, and promote goodness towards others. These include virtues like love, compassion, patience, forgiveness, honesty, courage, and a sense of responsibility beyond oneself. Seeking to integrate such spirituality into one's life tends to orient people towards living purposefully, with self-discipline aligned to the greater good. While religions often emphasize metaphysical beliefs, ethical and contemplative practices aimed at taming selfish impulses are found across faiths and secular philosophies. These contribute tangibly to more purposeful, ethical, and psychologically balanced living regardless of ideological differences. The Dalai Lama frequently praises Christianity's legacy of powerful teachings on love and charity as an important influence on his own outlook since childhood. However, he observes that fixating on theological disputes or claims to exclusivist truth between religions can divide humanity and become sources of needless conflict. Therefore, he advocates focusing on each tradition's core ethical insights and methods for inner transformation towards compassion. The Dalai Lama notes that suffering seems an inevitable part of the human predicament. All people experience sickness, aging, unwanted changes, and loss of loved ones. However, he observes that people frequently exacerbate their mental anguish in two major ways. The first is trying to avoid inevitable pain by denying reality. When unwanted change occurs, such as a debilitating illness, death of a relative, or sudden unemployment, people often respond with disbelief, rage, or refusing medical care in terminal cases. However, the Buddhist view sees clearly acknowledging reality as it unfolds as pivotal to navigating difficulties smoothly. Accepting the truth of change and impermanence, while deeply painful, allows people to direct energy towards caring for oneself and others skillfully without wasting mental energy resisting the inevitable. The second form of unnecessary suffering comes from getting overly anxious about potential future pain. Many people torment themselves by constantly worrying about what might go wrong, contracting illnesses, losing a job, accidents befalling loved ones, or their own death. This distracts from enjoying the present by generating fear and uncertainty about hypothetical situations. While prudent preparation for adversity is wise, excessive worrying about the future mainly erodes mental peace and productivity for the vast majority of events that will never occur. Therefore, the Art of Happiness counsels learning to confine anxiety to constructive action in the present where one has agency, rather than let the mind torture itself with fearful imaginings of potential futures. It advocates calmly accepting suffering that has already manifested, while not inviting extra mental duress by worrying excessively about additional suffering that may never arise. Handled thus, the inevitable ups and downs of life become easier to navigate with equanimity and grace. The Art of Happiness offers some key principles for minimizing anxiety. Challenge anxious thoughts. When feeling anxious, carefully examine the thoughts behind the anxiety and whether they represent an exaggerated or unlikely outcome. Ask questions to determine how likely the feared situation actually is to happen. This helps avoid getting carried away by irrational or unrealistic worries. Live in the present. Dwelling excessively on hypothetical future catastrophes is a major feeder of anxiety. Shift focus gently back to the present moment rather than let the mind spin out worrying about that which has not happened. Pay attention to what is happening right now rather than what might happen tomorrow. Take constructive action where possible. Determine if there are any current precautions that can be undertaken reasonably instead of fretting. This converts worry into practical protection where feasible. Some potential misfortunes cannot be anticipated, but many day-to-day anxieties can be preempted by prudent diligence without obsession. Accept lack of control. Recognize that we cannot control everything. Worrying about things utterly outside one's control and influence is useless rumination. Understanding universal impermanence can help in this. Cultivate inner peace. Daily mindfulness, compassion, and spiritual practice strengthens equanimity to handle life's ups and downs. Inner peace from a calm mind can coexist even with external hardship. Regularly applying these principles can help greatly reduce anxiety and its detrimental impacts on well-being. They empower people to enjoy the present rather than torture themselves over hypothetical futures. In conclusion, The Art of Happiness offers valuable insights into how we can cultivate deeper fulfillment and resilience amidst the inevitable ups and downs of life. By shifting our perspective to recognize that true happiness comes from within, not simply from external conditions, we can take responsibility for transforming our own mental habits and attitudes. Practices that strengthen qualities like compassion, mindfulness, and letting go of anxiety about hypothetical futures can profoundly change how we experience day-to-day life. They enable appreciating the present moment more fully, connecting to those around us with empathy, and finding meaning in simple acts of goodness. While modern notions of romantic relationships often demand unrealistic expectations of partners, cultivating intimacy based instead on mutual understanding, respect, and dedication can sustain couples over decades. Though painful suffering will always arise, clear acknowledgement of reality when it occurs combined with living in the present can prevent unnecessary mental anguish. Integrating such timeless principles of human flourishing into secular daily life represents a path of inner peace that relies not on material abundance, sensory pleasures, or even religious faith, but rather the profound spiritual capabilities innate to humanity. By taking to heart the wisdom within these pages, anyone can unfold their potentials for contentment and harmony with the world around them. The lasting fulfillment that arises from nurturing compassion, human dignity, and our higher purposes will endure long after ephemeral joys have faded. This text urges us to embark on that inner journey,